Tales for Fearless Girls. I am about to read this
All those
story.
news.
And behind me is a building, Hotel Nister, which was destroyed by a greedy family. This building originally had an important role in our independence, in our history, and this family has destroyed it and turned it into some fancy hotel. But historic buildings are they need to be protected, and so other people can learn about our history, and they should not be destroyed. So, Fairy Tales for Fearless Girls. Nana and Miriam and the horrible Hippopotamus. I'm reading this for Fearless Girls, and also everybody who wants to protect this our history and also this building. In a village by the great river Niger in West Africa, there once lived a man called Faramaka and his daughter Nana Miriam. They belonged to the Soroko people, who were famed and feared as great warriors. And Faramaka was one of the bravest and best. Now Faramaka was built like a giant and was so strong that he could uproot a baobab tree with just one hand. It was also said to be ugly. His daughter Nana Miriam was incredibly strong like her father, but she was also beautiful and clever. Faramaka was proud as could be of his daughter and taught her everything he knew. Together, father and daughter roamed the land and paddled along the river, with Faramaka pointing out all different fish, plants, and animals, teaching Nana Miriam their natures and names. There was one other thing that he taught her, magic. Before long, Nana Miriam knew more magic than her father, though she didn't tell anyone, not even him. At that time, a huge, monstrous hippopotamus, who also knew magic, lived in the river Niger. It was also ravenously hungry, even after a meal. Every year, just as the Soroko people were about to harvest their precious rice crop, the hippo splashed out of the river, waddled onto the land, and gobbled down every single rice plant. It munched its way through harvest after harvest until there was nothing left for people who eat and famine from the land. Hunters from the village tried time and again to kill the beast, but the hippo kept outwinning them, transforming itself into a crocodile, a water snake, or a giant fish, and quickly swimming away. One day, Faramaka himself went out to hunt the monster, carrying 7 of his sharpest spears. "These spears have never failed me before," he said. "When I return, the beast will be dead." When at last he cracked down the hippo, he pulled his arm back, took aim, and threw. 7 times he hurled its spear, and 7 times he failed to hit this target. For suddenly the hippo made even 7 spots appear from within the air, filled with fire. One by one, Faramaka's spears landed in the spots, burst into flames, and melted in the fire. After Faramaka ran out of spears, the 7 posts filled with the fire disappeared, and the hippo cackled, "You will never kill me. I have magic too, and I am beatable." The monstrous and terrible hippo transformed again and swam away. Proud Faramaka was forced to admit defeat and returned to the village empty-handed. To save face, Faramaka knew that he had to do something. He marched to the next village to ask for help from Kara Dijimao Fosifasi, a hunter whose reputation was almost matched his own. "Will you help me to hunt these beasts?" asked Faramaka. "I will," replied Kara Dijimao Fosifasi, "and I'll bring along 120 of my finest hunting dogs." Each hunting dog was the size of a horse, with fearsome fangs and eyes that glowed in the dark. They made Faramaka nervous, but he didn't like to admit it. Before long, they'd cracked down the hippo. It would have been difficult to miss, and Kara Dijimao Fasi turned his trusty dogs loose. Packs gnashing and chains rattling, they made a terrifying sight, or at least so Faramaka thought. The hippo thought otherwise. It laughed when it saw the baying pack. "I'm not scared of any scrappy dogs," it boomed. "You have to do better than that." The monstrous creature grabbed each one of 120 horse-sized sounding dogs by the tail and gobbled them down one by one. Then it turned its back on the horrified hunters and lumbered off to raid another rice field. Faramaka and Kara Dijimao Fosifasi ran as fast as they could, all the way back to Faramaka's house. They were met by Nana Miriam, and they told her what happened, leaving out the big bout running away. What a brute! Varamaka said, trying to stop his voice from trembling. We tried everything and nothing worked. That's right, continued Kara-Digimon-Fasifasi. And if we couldn't stop it, then nobody's likely to. After all, we are the best hunters in the land. Nana Miriam listened to their story and decided it was time for her to take things into her own hands and get rid of the hippo once and for all. Well, she said, smiling, there's nothing else left to do. I'll have to go and see this beastly creature for myself. Varamaka was beside himself. No, 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 he cried, taking her hand. My beloved daughter, your voice is strong. There can be no doubt about that. But our greatest warriors have tried to kill this beast and nobody can touch it. You are my only child. I beg you not to go. Kara-Digimon-Fasifasi just snorted at her. What nonsense! You wouldn't stand a chance against such a monster. Listen to your father, that's my advice, and stay at home where you belong. His voice simply made Nana Miriam more determined. She'd show him. Calmly grabbing a spear and her father Juju bag, in which he had her magic powers and charms, she turned her back on the one of two men and started off in search of the hippo. Before long, Nana Miriam found the hippo. It had left a trail of destruction along the riverbank and was busy devouring yet another rice field. It looked up as they saw Nana Miriam approaching and grinned through its terrible teeth. Huh, they've sent a child to kill me, the hippo sniggered. This is the funniest thing I've ever seen. We'll see about that, replied Nana Miriam, holding herself straight and tall. What makes you think you can do it? Asked the hippo. Well, the strongest and cleverest hunters in your village and beyond have failed. Even 120 hunting dogs couldn't stop me. What have you got to say about that? Nana Miriam gave the hippo a long, hard stare. If you're ready to do battle, she challenged him, I'll show you what I can do. Ready when you are, chuckled the hippo. I'm ready, replied Nana Miriam. So the battle began between the hippo and Nana Miriam. Hoping to catch her off guard, the hippo made the first move. With a deafening roar, it set the rice field alight and then created a giant wall of fire between them. Nana Miriam acted quickly. She reached into her juju bag. She put out a torch of magic powder, which she flung onto the flames. At once, the fire turned into water, which soaked harmlessly into the ground. Oh, you'll have to do better than that, she told the hippo. Oh, don't worry, it replied. I haven't finished with you yet. The hippo gave another deafening roar, and this time an enormous gleaming iron wall grew up in between that. The hippo looked pleased, but it didn't last long. Once again, Nana Miriam reached into her juju bag and pulled out a magic hammer. With all her strength, she pounded the hammer against the iron wall and had soon smashed it into pieces. Anything else? Called Nana Miriam. Or I have won. For the first time, the monstrous hippo looked worried. It wasn't used to coming second and decided to run away before it was beaten. It transported itself into a raging river and Nana Miriam was ready. She reached into her juju bag, pulled out a bottle of magic potion, which the town spilled over the hippo river. In an instant, the river dried up and turned back into a hippo again. Just at that moment, Varamaka appeared, the Kara-Digimon-Fasifasi at his side. Varamaka wanted to check up on Nana Miriam, and he was curious to see if his daughter really could kill the hippo. Distracted by their sudden arrival, the hippo forgot all about her and charged straight at the two men. Nana Miriam was ready. As the hippo rode past her, she leaped out and grappled into its back leg. Then, summoning all her strength, she swung it 3 times around her head before hurling it across the river Niger. It smashed into some rocks on the other side of the bank and crashed to the ground, stone dead. All 3 hunters returned to the village to dance, feast, and sing of the story of Nana Miriam's great deeds. And from that day on, the Soroko enjoyed many rich rice harvests and were no longer starving, all thanks to Nana Miriam.
Okay, well, I want to deliver the message. Thank you, Marta, for your reading. And this message will be in English for the viewers who need some explanation what's going on here and why have we chosen this location. As you all aware, Ukraine is being invaded by the Russian Federation. Their army is not only plundering the buildings, killing civilians and doing terrible atrocities, but they basically try to destroy our Ukrainian history. They destroying museums, they destroying pictures, cultural and material heritage, and our soldiers and our volunteers are fighting them back in the east, in the south and in the north. They are protecting our peaceful cities and villages in the west of Ukraine. Meanwhile, in the west, some greedy hoteliers who are not who are behaving as not as Ukrainian, but also always as the enemies. They are destroying our history, our memory here in the west of Ukraine, in the city of Ivano-Frankivsk. We are near the Hotel Easter, which was the location of declaring the act of connection or union between Western Ukraine and Eastern Ukraine more than 1 century ago. So in this building, this is listed A-grade listed building. In this building there were a lot of events which were connected with our national history of Ukraine took place. And it's not acceptable to change the facade and change the look of the building. You can restore it, you can do restoration, but you can't rebuild it, you can't destroy it, and also you can't prevent the public, the community to use the public places here. So this place is occupied. They just took the communal land and built some more like boutiques, and they just think that the money is the most important thing, or maybe they think that money, but they just are acting according to some terrible plan. So they want to destroy our history, our past, and our future. Because if we live after the war, after the victory, in the city which doesn't have any historical monuments, any memory, so our generation will be not aware of our past, so they will not know how to do that, our future. As far as I know, in Great Britain, in other countries, you can't change the look of the building, which is when it is the historical building, when it is listed in the heritage. But here in Ukraine it is possible, and our authorities, our mayor is apathetic. They are pathetic people who just don't do what they are expected to do. So the public, which is not numerous here because many motivated Ukrainians are being enlisted in the army, so they are not here, but still the public need to protect it. So Marta, let's go to the people. Let's protect our past, our present, and our future.
But it's a new